Okay, let's take a look at this down here. Now, these are slightly harder ones, but these, believe it or not, are all quadratic in form. These are very similar to, x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And then you just kind of have to factor to find the zeros. It's just that instead of x's, they're e to the x's. Now, this one, I can kind of see like this. If I go e to the x, okay? So my first, if I FOIL it, e to the x times e to the x, because you add exponents, is e to the 2x. All right? So this is like a quadratic. In other words, I'm just thinking what's two numbers that make -6 when you multiply that make -1 when you add. And that is -3 and +2. Okay? Now, so I'm going to get e to the x equals +3 and e to the x equals -2. This will not work. Again, if you think about logging both sides, you can't log negative. There's nothing you can raise e2 to get a negative answer. If you raise e to a negative exponent, you'll just get, like 1 over something. You just get a fraction. You won't get a negative answer. So that's basically it. In other words, x is going to be the natural log of 3. If you just pretend you're going to log both sides, remember, the answer is just there. Okay? Okay, so now the really hard ones, because I could kind of factor that fairly basically, is, excuse me, well, I think this next one. I'm going to take away 6 first. E to the x plus e to the -x minus 6 equals 0. Now, although it might look similar to this, there are different ways of doing it. You can do use substitution. One other way of doing this is actually to multiply everything by e to the x. If I multiplied everything by e to the x, I get this. I get that e to the 2x at the start again that I had here, which made life a little bit easier over here. But e to the x times e to the -x, e to the x times e to the -x. Remember, if you add exponents, this is e to the 0. So that is 1. And then minus 6 e to the x. Okay, so I just multiplied everything by e to the x. This is just one way of doing it. The other way is use substitution. Please look at any rules you can find online or in the book if you want to do this differently. So I now have this in order. E to the 2x minus 6 e to the x plus 1 equals 0. Now again, unfortunately with this, this is like saying this. A equals 1, B equals -6, and C equals 1. I can't factor it. I've got to use the quadratic equation formula. So I'm going to leave that there because you are going to get basically what e to the x equals. So whatever you get from this, if you get decimals, I mean, suppose you get, e to the x equals, I don't know, pretend you get e to the x equals 1.35. You might get a negative 1.6. Who knows, okay? Well, again, that won't work because you can't log it. You're going to have to log both sides, and that'll get the answer, okay? So I'll just leave it there because, of course, it's the homework. Have a crack yourself. But consider that it is going to be you doing the quadratic equation formula. And that's not what x equals, that's what e to the x will equal. So a little bit harder. Okay, let's go down here. Log equations. Right, okay, look at this. Remember, if I change from log to exponential, this is going to be 5 squared equals x. In other words, x equals 25. Because this is base e, this is going to be to e to the 7 equals x. There's the answer, okay? So I'm just changing from log to exponential. So if I look at something like, I'm going to squeeze this in because I don't have another slide, so I'm going to squeeze it in out the bottom here. Let's take a look at this problem here above, okay? Now, if I do this, if log of a equals log of b, then a must equal b. In other words, this 10x minus 2 must equal 7 minus 4x. So I'll write it up here. It's like saying you don't need the word log anymore. It's just 10x minus 2 equals 7 minus 4x, and you just solve for x, okay? Right, the next one. How about this one here, b? So we have ln of x minus 10 equals, minus ln of x equals ln of 51. Now, on this left-hand side, I'm going to apply some of those log properties that when you've got a minus in between, this is a minus, it turns it into a single log as a division. Remember that? So I've got x minus 10 over x. Okay, it's a minus, so it becomes a division. Okay, so again, like down here, we can actually say, okay, then the x minus 10 over x equals the 51. Okay, so basically you can write that as 51 over 1, and you just cross multiply here. Just do cross multiplications. Whenever you see these, just do a cross multiplication. In other words, x minus 10 equals 51x. Okay, if I take away an x from both sides and then divide by 50, x equals negative 1/5. Okay. Now, the problem with that is, if that's the answer I get, this is actually not going to work because you cannot log negatives. All right, so be aware of this. Sometimes solutions you get won't work, and that's why you might have to write none if there's no solution. Okay, right, I'll stop there.